Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we've got a classic in the shop, a 1999 Ford F-150, and this one's sporting the legendary 4.6-liter Triton V8. These trucks are absolute workhorses, but being over 25 years old, they start to develop some very specific, let's call them Triton-style headaches. If you own one, you probably know what I'm talking about. And if you're a fan of this kind of content, do me a huge favor and hit that like button and subscribe for more. It really helps the channel out. So, the complaint on this F-150 is a classic one. The owner says that at idle, the RPMs are fluctuating up and down, kind of hunting for a steady speed. Even worse, when they're driving and come to a stop sign or a red light, the truck will sometimes just stall out completely. Now, when you see these symptoms, especially the stalling when you let off the gas and come to a halt, your mind should immediately jump to a couple of prime suspects. This isn't one of those problems where you have to diagnose the whole truck. It's usually one of a few common culprits. The big one, the most frequent offender, is the idle air control valve, or IAC valve. This little guy is responsible for managing the air that bypasses the throttle plate. When your foot is off the gas, its job is to keep the engine purring along at a steady idle. When you come to a stop, the computer tells the IAC valve to open just enough to let the engine breathe. But if that valve is gummed up with carbon or the internal motor is just old and slow, it can't react fast enough. The RPM is dipped to low. The computer tries to catch it. The RPM is surged back up. And sometimes it just gives up and the engine stalls. The second major suspect, and one you should always check on these trucks, is a good old-fashioned vacuum leak. Specifically, there's a rubber PCV elbow hiding on the back of the intake manifold, over on the passenger side, kind of tucked up against the firewall. These things are notorious for dry rotting, getting soft, and either collapsing on themselves or developing a big tear. This creates a massive unmetered air leak. The engine is sucking in air that the mass airflow sensor doesn't know about, which throws the whole air-fuel mixture into chaos. The computer sees a lean condition from the oxygen sensors and tries to compensate by dumping in more fuel. This battle between the vacuum leak and the computer's adjustments causes that surging, hunting idle. You'll often get lean codes too, like APO171 and APO174. So, how do we figure out which one it is? We're going to start with the easiest and most likely problem first. Let's tackle the idle air control valve. First things first, let's get the engine cover off. It's just a couple of nuts holding it on, and then it pops right off. Now, with the cover gone, you can see the throttle body right here at the front. The IAC valve is bolted right onto the side of it. You can see the electrical connector and the two little bolts holding it in place. These are usually 8mm bolts. Before we replace it, let's try the cheap fix first, cleaning it. Sometimes that's all it needs. I'm going to disconnect the battery just to be safe. It's always a good practice. Then, I'll unplug the electrical connector from the IAC. A little push on the tab and it should wiggle right off. Now, I'll grab my 8mm socket and a small extension and take these two bolts out. Be careful not to drop them down into the engine bay abyss. We've all been there. With the bolts out, the IAC valve should come right off. And look at that. This thing is caked with black carbon buildup. Inside, there's a little piston that moves back and forth to control the airflow. When it's this dirty, it's no wonder it was sticking and causing the idle to hunt. So, let's give this a good cleaning. I'm going to use some throttle body cleaner. You can also use carburetor cleaner. The key is to get a cleaner that's safe for sensors and plastics. I'm going to spray it liberally inside the ports and all over that piston. I'll use a small brush and a rag to work off all that baked-on gunk. You want to see that piston moving freely and looking shiny and clean. Make sure you get inside the housing as well. Once it looks good, we'll let it dry for a minute and then put it back on the truck. Reinstalling is just the reverse of removal. Pop the valve back in place, thread in the two 8mm bolts and snug them down. Don't over-tighten them. Then plug the electrical connector back in and reconnect the battery. Alright, moment of truth. Let's fire it up and see if our cleaning job did the trick. Okay, starting it up. And that sounds a whole lot better already. The RPMs came down to a nice, steady idle right around 700 RPM. No more surging, no more hunting. That is a beautiful sight. A 15-minute cleaning job and a few bucks for a can of cleaner just saved us the cost of a new IAC valve. Now, let's say cleaning the IAC valve didn't fix your problem. The next place you absolutely have to look is that PCV elbow I mentioned earlier. Finding this leak is pretty straightforward. With the engine running, you're basically going on a hunt for a hissing sound. Get your ears down near the back of the intake manifold on the passenger side. A massive vacuum leak will make a very obvious hiss or sucking sound. If you can hear it, but can't see it, you can use a little trick. Grab a can of brake cleaner or even an unlit propane torch. Carefully spray short bursts in the area where you suspect the leak is. If you spray the brake cleaner and the engine RPM is suddenly changed, either stumbling or smoothing out, you found your leak. The engine is sucking that flammable cleaner into the intake, which changes the air-fuel ratio. Let's pretend we found the leak back there. Replacing that elbow is cheap, but it can be a little frustrating because of the tight space. It's one of those jobs where you'll be working by feel more than by sight. You just have to reach back there, pull the old rattan elbow off the PCV valve and the intake manifold port, and wrestle the new one on. It's a simple part, just a piece of rubber, but it causes so many headaches. A new elbow is usually under $20, and it's a part one recommend replacing as preventative maintenance if you have one of these trucks. One last thing to check while we ray on the topic of idle issues is the throttle body itself. Over the years, carbon can build up right around the edge of the throttle butterfly plate. This can prevent the plate from closing completely to its proper base idle position. This can confuse the computer and make the IAC valve work overtime to control the idle. The fix is easy. Just remove the main air intake tube from the throttle body, open the throttle plate by hand, and use a rag with some throttle body cleaner to wipe out the bore and the edges of the plate. Get all that black gunk out of there. It's another simple maintenance item that can make a big difference in how smoothly your truck idles. So, to recap our troubleshooting journey for a hunting idle, installing on a 4.6-liter Ford, number 1, and most likely, is a dirty or failing idle air control valve. Start by cleaning it. Number 2, a dry rotted PCV elbow on the back of the intake. Listen for the hiss and confirm with some brake cleaner. And number 3, a dirty throttle body bore. A quick cleaning can restore that smooth idle. Between these 3 things, you will solve this specific problem on these Ford trucks 99% of the time. In this case, a simple cleaning of the IAC valve did the trick. The truck is running great, the customer will be happy, and we solved a classic Triton problem with just a little bit of time and know-how. I hope this video was helpful for any of you out there fighting a similar issue with your F150 or any Ford with this engine family. These are great trucks, and with a little bit of maintenance, they'll keep running for a long time. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next repair.